Good morning, greetings, sunny, awesome, warm, positive vibrations. Give me a good shout out from Central America. So it's very, very hot here. And just a quick update on this crown, on this very fine textured crown. I just water washed slash rinsed it, gave it a very, very good massage. Right, so the scalp is super, super clean, which is great. No itching. My scalp feels fantastic. I'm gonna let you know. So this is some kind of inspiration for those women with very fine hair. This is a great option. So my hair is not very dense at the back, but it is growing. It's still very wet, and they are coming in flat. So I don't often get to see what it looks like from the back. So it's a really beautiful thing. And it's very freeing to not have to worry about your hair. So maybe some of you can relate to that or not. Today I wanted to just share and touch on something that's very personal and very dear to me. I talk about it a lot on this channel. The channel has evolved or is evolving just to me expressing whatever is on my mind. And I like to share about natural beauty and its connection to our esteem, especially as chocolate women. So let me start this off by saying, first of all, after I just rinse my hair, and I love to massage my skin with coconut oil or olive oil. Those are things in terms of grooming that's very soothing and relaxing to me. There are times where I've allowed my underarms to get bushy, and there are times where I'll shave it. So those are things that I explore. So I'm sharing my personal experience. You pull whatever resonates with you and toss the rest, right? Because we can have a tendency in this day and time to follow people almost in a cult-like fashion, whether they be entertainers, politicians, people that have a certain kind of look that we aspire to. And we can't really see the whole full picture of how people are living. So I invite you to sit comfortably in your own skin, take what resonates, but remember, these are flawed human beings behind these screens. So that being said, I really I'm on this thing for many years, going on several, maybe 3 decades of what I term radical self-acceptance. And I'm a person that has experienced a lot of acne. And so sometimes I think when I look at myself in the mirror, it's been such an ongoing process of me appreciating myself and my natural skin. And from time to time, I get compliments on my skin, which is interesting to me because I used to have a lot of acne. So I thought I would come on here and periodically, um, if I get a blemish, I share it. Now that could be very embarrassing, nerve wracking, but I'm big for, and I think it's very important to take certain things off the table and to really observe when you feel a sense of shame, embarrassment about something that's very, very natural. So right now I'm experiencing a blemish right here on my skin. Now, okay, if you can imagine, and I'm showing this because I'm real about our skin color, our hair texture, blemishes. This really messes with a lot of women, especially chocolate women. It messes with our esteem. So much so that it will send us out buying thousands of dollars of products, quite often with harmful chemicals in order to correct it. So can you imagine having this all over your face? So I'm sharing this so that I can be very realistic and hopefully provide some kind of motivation and inspiration for folks to eat healthy. Now, I've been eating cruelty free this time around for about 11 years. Fresh, whole living, unprocessed fruits, vegetables, seeds, and nuts. So I eat extremely healthy. And so I can pretty much pinpoint when my skin breaks out. Um, Sometimes it can be due to hormones. Definitely if I'm working a lot and I don't sleep, right? So for me, I've taken the food off of the table in terms of eating healthy. I move on a regular basis, I exercise. All that to say, people panic about this. And I get it. To me, it used to feel like torture to have this, imagine all over my face. And then when one area clears up, the other area breaks out, and it left scars all over my face. So I'm just showing this to be very transparent. I don't freak out. It's really something to see. Oh, I eat so healthy. Some things could still come out of your skin. I know for me, if I eat too much nuts or seeds, if I don't sleep, and then also um, when I'm experiencing things hormonally inside my body, these are different things that can contribute to breakout. So, in the age of so much makeup, we usually see folks come on and just put so much, and I'm not demonizing makeup at all. Some of it looks, to me, actually looks very beautiful, right? But also, and we have options. You have options for what you want to do. You don't have to follow anybody blindly. I know for me, my contribution to around health and really taking care of ourselves and prioritizing self-care is very much about health, because um, from my experience, health is the ultimate beauty product. So I know when I had acne all over my whole face, I felt so embarrassed. And I worked at one time, I worked in a gym. And to be around a whole bunch of clients, people form judgments on you based on how you look, on if your hair is frizzy, whatever your appearance is. And part of that makes sense, right? But the deep feelings of shame and embarrassment that we feel, I think sometimes we have to question that, because you go through things in life. When I watch the makeovers and the makeovers, making you over, and I look at the amount of money that women, and young women especially, are spending to cover up what is going on with that health. Sometimes, sometimes I find it kind of sad. I feel like it's very challenging for women and chocolate women to relax and feel comfortable in ourselves, expressing ourselves. Sometimes I feel like it's a psychic attack and also a competition to see who can get our attention and who can profit the most off of our insecurities, right? So it's really something for me, I know, to stand on my square. When I know I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do, just leave my body, leave it alone, because the body is very intelligent. It knows, and I'm saying this from experience, it knows how to fall to a healthy weight when we just stop putting garbage inside of it. Um, Okay, there's nothing wrong with being greetings, Tess. I'll be 50 in a moment too. So it's sometimes, even it's interesting because I can't, for me, even to say that is kind of weird. Of course not. No, no. And sometimes I think that's interesting. Your question. It's like when I've had clients that have carried a whole bunch of additional weight, adipose tissue. And I like to make those distinctions, right? So we can be very objective. Adipose or fatty tissue, that is an unhealthy weight that we carry on the body. And so I know the client maybe asked me, do you really think that I can lose weight? And I'm saying from experience as somebody that's been in the industry for years, I've watched people totally reshape their bodies. I've watched people that may have another type of body type that may not be as round in the rear area. They may not have my body type, but I've watched people develop, for example, their glute muscles, right? And so somebody may not have a frame of reference, but it's never too late to do anything. So while I will never be in my 20s, and I don't wish to ever be in my 20s again, in terms of wisdom is very hard to acquire through many kicking lessons. I don't desire to be in my 30s. I don't desire to be in my early 40s, right? I look forward to um, the gifts of wisdom, right? Because I wouldn't trade it for the world, and maturing and being 110% responsible for my health. And I really enjoy sitting and being comfortable in my own skin. So if I can offer any encouragement, no, it's never too late. However, it's easy for us to be consoled by, and no offense to anybody's religion, through praying and a motivational speaker. But what I found will give you can has the possibility to give you most comfort is when you are in action around what you say is important to you. So when you say it's too late, that's really like a loaded statement. Too late for what? For beauty, to move your body, for take a ballet class or be a ballerina in your own respect. So for me, For example, when I would sprint or run around the track, when I would watch sprinters younger, and I was like, wow, I wish somebody would have introduced me to sprinting, right? So what did I do? I just went and started sprinting on my own. I researched it so I don't injure myself, right? So I don't hurt myself. I always wanted to, when I learned about charm school, I wanted to go to charm school. So I took myself to charm school once after a breakup for myself. So I've definitely been one to invest in myself. And I don't hold my parents hostage for doing the best that they were able to do with whatever their awareness are and whatever their resources were. So as an adult, I wanted to take ballet. I went and took my round afro butt to ballet class. And I remember the instructor telling me to keep, you know, tucking my butt under and in. And I'm thinking, this is my shape. This is what I look like. But I write my own narrative. I'm writing my own narrative. So if I'm going to take ballet at 50 and 60, I'm going to take ballet. I'm beautiful because I say I am. And so the validation that I seek is from myself, and I give myself that validation with a pimple, with no makeup, with my kinky hair. And it's so freeing. It is so it's so freeing. It is so freeing. So I take dieting off the table. So if I'm eating fresh fruits and vegetables and I really love my food and I enjoy it and I have variety, I've taken it off the table. So now I can take all that mental focus and apply it to something else. I take movement off. I take just a lot off the table that quite often we could go outside looking for validation. Maybe if I get in shape, I'll be accepted, I'll be chosen. So I really sit quietly in a very practical sense. And if I feel any kind of anxiety, if I'm feeling a kind of way, I kind of backtrack it and investigate the thoughts that I'm having and feelings I'm having about myself, because your thoughts and feelings really, there's an undercurrent, they subconsciously drive our behavior, right? And how we feel about ourselves can drive us to literally eat mindlessly. So I know mindless eating, even if it's healthy food, can contribute to my body having acne. It's usually not one thing. So again, I'm saying this, I'm being very transparent. Imagine having this all over your whole skin. And at one point I was like, very, very ripped up and tight in terms of muscular. And it was very uncomfortable. I felt like it was such a contradiction. So we're judging and bashing ourselves. And that can be a distraction from getting into action. So I like to relax, be comfortable in my own skin, and I give myself validation. And it's interesting. I do sometimes see makeup that looks really, really nice. Like I like mascara and those things. But sometimes, and I think it's from me, and I've shared on this channel, I went for quite a few years without anything on, no makeup, no mascara. I took off all my jewelry, and it was very intuitive. It was just this thing intuitively with sitting in what I say is radical self acceptance. And I would stare at myself and I would say, "This is it. This is what my lips look like. This is what they feel like." With not even any natural lip balm on. And so for me, I discovered a lot of stuff. I would say I would even liken it to a living meditation. So there are so many different kinds of meditations we look for from other cultures. But I have learned so much from watching my simple grandma, and also in a very practical sense, sitting with myself. So just like when I prepare the food, you start to notice things because you're in the process. So for example, I used to love natural lip balm. One time I got stuff from a beauty supply store, then like whatever other things, I swapped it off for things that were more natural. And as I started to remove things, and on my journey as consuming living foods, I started to feel like a lot of things started to feel very heavy. For example, the lip gloss or lip balm, even though the ingredients were all natural, started to feel very heavy. So I started to feel like just subtle, like if I would eat an apple or organic apple, like I would have plastic on my lips, or like I was putting plastic on the apple. So it started to feel uncomfortable. Then when I took it off, I started to notice that my lips felt hydrated, that they were not chapped at all. And I just don't need anything on my lips. So things started to fall away, even heavier gourmet raw foods, like the raw cakes and pies that many people come to raw foods or living foods lifestyle for. I started to notice that I didn't crave so much treats, which to me was absolutely amazing because I'm a chef by profession as well as a personal trainer. And I'm very sensual around food and I love creating food. But I noticed that my desire for those things fell away in that discovery process, if that makes sense. So it's really something to sit with yourself and to give yourself the validation that quite often we're looking for from outside. And I remember once hearing somebody who I really hold in esteem talk about self love as a young woman. And I literally did not know what that meant. That just sounded so it sounded mysterious. I just did not know self and love. I did not know what that meant. It seemed so subtle. I didn't know what self love meant at a practical sense. Not It's like not knowing what a vocabulary word means. I did not know what self love meant, and I remember questioning: Does she mean this? Does she mean this, or does she mean that? Self love, the emotion. I didn't know what she meant, and so now looking back, I can definitely say it's definitely a based in a lot of activities and how we treat ourselves, how we think about ourselves, but definitely our day to day actions. And if we feel freed up and if we feel a sense of commitment to taking care of ourselves first, I know that's been a big challenge for me. I've turned that inside out. But I'm so much more comfortable on purpose, intentional, intentionally sitting with myself. And so, again, that's not esoteric. What sitting with myself can mean like being in my little garden, um, planting seeds or weeding, so I can relax and I can notice my thoughts. It could be cleaning things in my space. It's definitely movement sessions. For example, I always loved dance. So I would have loved to have been put into modern or ballet, but I wasn't. So even now, what can I create for myself so I can give myself that experience? I find quite often that um, we're trying to have experiences, and I work a lot with people with food. The relationship with food and the relationship with our body and exercise in a very, very real way because it's something I'm passionate about. Women and women of color um, processing our emotions through eating mindlessly. So I'm not a guru, I'm not a human being without flaws, but it's definitely a path that I've been on for about going on 30 years. So the quieter that we can get and the more, not by necessarily spending a whole bunch of money, but the more we can invest in learning to crave quiet time, learning to sit and just be with ourselves. It takes away so much distraction. It takes us so much distraction, so you can really look at yourself and appreciate ourselves. Quite often, we want the world to love and appreciate us. You want your spouse and you want your husband and people to appreciate you, and we can talk about it at an intellectual level. But it's another thing to sit with yourself. I remember once I had one of the two times where I had a roommate, and she was very curvaceous. Some might say overweight, um, not morbidly obese by any stretch. But anyway, she was very voluptuous, and she was stunningly beautiful and so attractive. And I remember this woman never had a problem with suitors and men chasing after her. Um, and so looking back, because she had been through so much in her life, I just really saw her dote on herself and take care of herself from her hairstyle. She wore her natural hair. She used to dye her locks. I don't prefer dyed locks, but she's one of the few people I saw was very attractive. Just her whole package and how she took care of herself made her so attractive. But looking back, I can see through the life experience, she made a conscious decision to take care of herself first, even with a small child. And she had a position, at a company. But just every little thing that she did, but especially when it came to herself, she took the time to take care of herself. And she always had a beautiful smile on her face. But it was something about her just being very intentional around making a decision and a shift to take care of herself and loving herself and not waiting for permission. So that's something that really resonates with me, not waiting for permission for somebody to give you validation on, do you think my hair is cute? Do you like my hair? I've just made a decision. I like my hair. This is the hair that I have. I look for hairstyles that complement my hair. Now that my hair, I can say, actually has some kind of length, on it. I really like minimal hair. Like I used to look at, my Caucasian when I was younger counterparts and be like, wow, they don't have to do anything to their hair. They could just take a shower and go. But it's such an epiphany for me now to know that I could do that too, and it's been a learning curve. It might be over simple. Maybe some of our Caucasian counterparts may not understand it. But for us to really live in, you can have body, we can have a clean scalp that we don't need products. That to me is like a total epiphany. So when I take all of those things monetarily and when I take my mental, emotional focus off of those things, I can sit. And in a very practical sense, the word heal, I know that word is thrown around a lot. But in a practical sense, I can sit and I can relax. I can be with myself and give my body the space and time to heal. Your body is intelligent and knows what to do. If we can just stop clogging it mindlessly because we're distracted or because we're anxious, if we just let it breathe, and I'm big on nurturing, again, self-care. Do we ever consider, other than massaging our skin, not trying to sound funny, but something that I've done intuitively over the years is actually massage my breast organs, right? Um, just to make sure that they're healthy and that they don't have any growth. But not only for that, just because it's soothing. And so often, popular culture can make everything kind of dirty or just on a low level in terms of how it's perceived. But this is self-care, making sure that all your stuff, your sacred parts are clean and groomed to whatever standard you want them to be, but healthy. And then it would make sense that we want internal hygiene, right, with the things that we're putting into our body temples, right, because this is a temple. So I've noticed, when we really feel confident about ourselves, we'll be less like, and when we really put work into ourselves, when you really make an investment in yourself, at least I found, you let me know what you found, you're less likely to make yourself readily available to other folks. You're less likely to open your womb, your sacred womb, to allow anything in it. You'll be more with the vetting process. I find a vetting process is so critical and is so necessary in these times, right? That we have discernment, regardless of if somebody calls themselves Democratic or Republican, if they call themselves, lox or raw food or vegan. Sometimes you can't see how people are living, and you may not be able to see people's real intentions. And so I like to run everything through my onboard discernment computer, right? To see how I feel. And we talk about these things all the time, but it can be observed. There's such a disconnect between the things that we're saying out of our mouths and how it plays out in the actions for, how we take care of ourselves or don't take care of ourselves, right? We can see we'll be talking about self-love and self-care, and then we eat ourselves sometimes to the point of deformity. We don't notice when we're satiated. We may not put a lot of time into really vetting the food and the food sources that we're putting into our body. So I found that slowing down here, like mentally, and creating a space, right? Just some kind of beauty or attractive space is very important for me to feel relaxed. I feel unsettled sometimes if there's too much clutter and stuff going on. But things like that we may take for granted. How nurturing, how helpful it is to ourselves. Some of us don't have access to a therapist or other people to go to all the time. So I'm very big on making an effort to make a positive use of the internet. We're at a time where you could peek in somebody else's kitchen or inside their bathroom, and people share their experiences, right? In real life, we would be able to, or ideally be able to, connect with your auntie or those groups of women where you share, similar interests, and share your wisdom, your kitchen wisdom, your garden wisdom, your wisdom from relationships, different things that you've learned along your journey. So today I just wanted to come on again and just be transparent all right, about this blemish. And it's very rare that I get a blemish. So I watch these thoughts that come up in my, oh my God, I listen. And that's huge, to slow down and listen to your own thoughts. Not drive yourself crazy, but it's a part of our awareness. And I think it's really important to have a basic understanding of the human psyche, right? The brain is the organ, mental activity is a function of the organ. So have a basic understanding of how it works. Sometimes we can get lost in religion and the myths of religion without making them wrong, and sometimes use religion to replace life skills or a basic understanding of how the machine works, right? Because companies, predators, other people understand the human psyche and our emotions and how to manipulate them. So I'm big on taking that off of the table so I can sit firm and I can stand relaxed, whether someone gives me compliments or not. Compliments are nice, um, but I can know, um, I can feel secure in my own skin. And the simplest way I can put it is giving myself. Um, so that's definitely a journey. It's a journey of learning to be quiet, um, creating an environment where I start to crave quiet, if that makes sense. Because we can crave music, which is not bad, and we could crave food. Sometimes too much food, right? But we're craving all the stuff from the outside, and sometimes we don't crave to be quiet, right? When you're in your 20s, you want to be running out in the street. You're going to run to this club and that club. Sometimes we can expend a lot of energy, and even in our 20s, have a tendency to put ourselves in harm's way because a lot of times we're naive. You're not 20. That's why I say I would never trade my wisdom for anything. So just imagine if for wherever you are in your body temple, you're at your ideal natural weight for you without comparing yourself to me or anybody else. Your body has an intelligence. If you're doing work and if you're exercising safely and effectively and efficiently in the time that you have consistently, your body's going to have a response. So then I take that off the table. I can relax. I don't worry about that. I know my body responds to vigorous movement, and it makes me psychologically, it makes me feel powerful, athletic. So I love it. I love it. I love it. I can have a busy schedule like anybody else, right? Again, lack of sleep. You don't think about it. Lack of sleep definitely contributes to how my body is burning and metabolizing fuel. But there's just many things that I take off of the table so that I can relax. So I don't worry about a whole lot of products. Again, it's a lot of distraction, even stress that I'm taking off of the table. More and more in the past decades, this past decade, I'm not waiting to be chosen. And so I've had my share of relationships, and I'm open to respectful love that is backed up with words, but I'm giving it to myself first in self care and what I eat. But also, big for me is creating an environment where I start to crave quiet, and also I can get different tasks done that lead to different things I want to accomplish. In this life cycle. So I'm here just to encourage you folks, especially you chocolate women out there, any of you that may um, not feel beautiful because you have some acne or you have some blemishes, or you're not happy with your weight, that first, if you can relax, right? Yes, a lot of us have done damage to our bodies and have put ourselves in harm's way. But I have found in working with so many clients over the years that, and this is just my perspective and my experience and my observation, that we have to love ourselves we have the opportunity. I don't like to tell grown folks what to do. We have the opportunity to love ourselves to another level or to something else, right? If you have stretch marks, which, hey, we always want to cut and cut stuff off. And sometimes I feel like it's kind of shortcutting process because we can't sit in what we have done to the body. Again, that's a disconnect. But if you can appreciate sometimes the scars, it can give us a kind of humility and a respect, for the body. There's some things we do that we can't get back, right? There's some things naturally. I'll never be 20. I'll never be 30 again. I don't want to. I want to look forward. I desire, and I'm actually curious about looking forward to being that 100-year-old grandma, 110, that I can still jump double dutch and I can still, be flexible with my body and, either with my grandchildren, if I have grandchildren, or my community, grandchildren, and also just for myself personally, in a very positive, selfish way, enjoying what my body temple is able to do. So if I take the distraction, out of the way, I can relax. I don't even have to worry so much about working out. I exercise probably a fraction of what I used to. I can play, but it's my habits. The habits over the years, they add up. That to me is health insurance, right? Your lifestyle is your health insurance. So there's so many things that I just take off of the table that I don't have to worry about. And then also, again, you can be eating all this healthy food, but being very stressed in your mind with stressful thoughts and looping trauma on events that have passed. We may not know how to process these things. That stress and that anxiety, just like can make your stomach feel a certain kind of way, it affects our blood chemistry. It affects our body chemistry. So, and I'm not someone that can fake it. Right. Good morning, Marcia, Her Highness, and Tess. So no, it's not too late for you to freeform. Of course, it's not too late for anything. So my hair, again, is very, very fine. And so I'm totally at peace because it's so fine. They're coming in flat. So I just water washed it, and my scalp is totally free of products. It feels different, and so some people will comment because the general frame of reference is oil for moisture, right? Even though now we know that oil is not moisture, we say sealing in the moisture. So I've done the experiment from like a year and a half, no oil, try oil, build up. Where I'm at now, I like the feeling of lightness. If you have very fine hair, sometimes I know initially I wanted to feel like I had hair, right? So I like the weight that shea butters and things gave me. But as I started to get a little length, then I could start to feel like, you know what, it may not be the best thing for me because if and when my hair, when it starts to get a little length on it, everything is so delicate here that would give a lot of weight, and that would way down on my hairline. So now my hair it's wet now, so it feels a little has a little weight on it, but it dries very quickly because there's no products in it, and they're all coming in. All of them are coming in flat, right? But actually, it works for me, right? Because if I was to twist it, you would see most of it would look extremely scalpy. It's a lot of tension on my scalp. You got to keep retwisting it, right? And so if it's wider, I don't have any parts. If it's wider, then it looks fuller. So I find that like, okay, it's complementary. It's complement. The best thing I've ever done is stop chasing moisture. Yeah, because again, it's so many levels of programming, right? It's like this thing of moisture. First of all, most of the body is what? Water, right? So if you look at most of our plates, we're not mostly taking in water. So it's going to go to over 100 degrees. Whew, again today. So excuse me, I'm a fan myself. But this whole thing of moisture, again, and maybe as a loose natural, I can see the moisture thing, but when I tell you my hair just feels cottony, soft, and the best way I can describe it is like a balance. It feels it doesn't feel dry and brittle, but it just feels like soft hair. And so it's such an epiphany. It's such a relief. Again, I can take one more thing I can take off the table that I don't have to worry about, right? So I definitely notice when I'm exercising, because I like to move, I enjoy vigorous, joyous movement. That's what I call it, vigorous, joyous movement. But I don't care for the feeling of hair on my back when I'm sweating. So now I'm starting to get, particularly in the middle, like a little bit of length, right? It's still wet. And so then my favorite hairstyle is to have two things on the side, but I just don't like hair. So my hair looks away because now it hasn't been retwisted and I don't know how long. I could say that it grows slow, but it just grows however it grows. But it feels soft and natural, and it feels very lightweight, right? So that may be like a paradigm shift for many of us to get used to it not feeling weighed down by butters and things. But definitely it is extremely freeing to my scalp. If anything, I know a lot of us may get concerned because um, my hair texture and my color is a sandy brown. And then it gets little beads. So sometimes what I'll do is I'll take the piece for maintenance and stick it right in here. So I'm not doing any retwisting because I'm just learning. It's interesting if you just be quiet, your body, and be quiet and listen. Your body, it can heal itself, right? So I come to show like within several days, no Proactive, I'm not using any products from the health food store. When I have a rare blemish, it will clear up. But I'm here to tell you, and again, I eat living foods, as a quote unquote, I'm vegan, right? But I listen to my body. The body's cleansing and building all the time. I just get out of the way and relax and notice my patterns of sleep, too much of this, not enough balance. So the best way I can describe is like a living meditation, but I can relax. I relax in my skin and allow my body to communicate and listen to what it is that it needs. And I find that can be very challenging because we're moving at such, a pace. But yeah, I'm not all that chasing stuff. Again, it's more anxiety. There's nothing more freeing than being comfortable in your own skin and not having to need products. And again, from that experience of years of not wearing anything, any earrings, any makeup, I could just start to see, I've said before, I used to tweeze my eyebrows so much, they don't even grow back right here. So the very thing we're trying to avoid, we created in our anxiety. We wind up losing our hair and so focused on my hair, trying to make our hair do something that it wasn't designed to do. So I appreciate beauty just as much as anyone. I love flowers, I love scents, but also the driving myself crazy to be accepted, putting of quite often predators and perverts or folks that don't really have your best interests or really mean you any good. I take it off the table. I could be exercising, I could be playing, I could be doing dance fitness on my pole, right? So my sensuality, my sexuality, my health, validation is from me first. And I tell you, it is so mentally freeing. So that's one of the reasons that I share on this channel. So I'm not going to talk you folks on too long. I have put some tiny space workouts on. I'm sharing some of the things that I love the most, which is African dance and vigorous, joyous movement. So I put several of them on the Kwasa Peaceful Eating page on Facebook. I've even linked them to my website. So those are free for now as a offering of community service. So you can also find those on body-culinary.com. Sometimes I have a tendency to get all of these men folks that come over on Facebook. So I did put workshop together for healthy eating for men. So there are some men that are interested in eating plant-based, right? But may be concerned about weight loss or getting enough calcium or protein. So I've been at this going on 30 years, right? About 30 years. And so it's good. I look forward to maturing and being my best me throughout all these different phases, that it's nothing. It's even interesting that we have to say that we shouldn't be ashamed, but just the very fact that that comes up, I mean, that's really like, wow, right? So I'm determined to be relaxed in my own skin, right? And to just sit, yeah. So don't have to chase any moisture. Queen, would you speak about free forming without the support from anyone? Well, I would say that these are semi-free form. So I like the Kanganatis, but I'm not on my hair and it's very fine. So when you say no support, I would have to say, well, it's interesting now that I think of it. I'm always someone that has created my own support and what I was looking for. And I've shared before with some of my folks. When I was younger, for me, I needed to see a Black woman, a chocolate woman that was living her best life, wearing her natural hair, very confident, that had high self-esteem or high esteem, that was very healthy and not bitter. And I met her at an African dance class, my godmother. And so I realized the gifts that I've gotten from my blood family, my blood relatives. But I also was very clear that I was looking for something else, especially when it came to health and another level of vibrancy and vitality. So I went looking for that. So where there's no support, I go looking for my own support. And as I said, I don't hold my mom or family members hostage. They did the best that they could with what they were exposed to. And then also people have their own degrees of trauma. So many in society or traumatized as individuals, as a collective, as a cultural ethnic group. So I went out and I sought support. So I say a lot, leverage the internet for something positive. So, for example, I love to learn. I really, really love. I love to read. I love to learn, and so sometimes I'm studying, watching this girl in China as she's building and she's gardening, or I'm watching these two Caucasian men down south that are farming. The internet allows us to have access to information. So sometimes I wonder if you're not using the internet without getting too sucked into it, balance it out your time between watching and actually executing things and putting things into action. But I find that support. So if you can find some support that resonates with you, you have access to that in the internet. Whereas before, you might not have access to speak to me here, or well, you're not here, right? But to communicate or to share my thoughts, or me giving you a shout out from Central America, or bring you inside my garden. So the internet has that. It also has a lot of other stuff than that. And I invite you not to put people up onto pedestals, because it's just a bunch of flawed human beings and everybody's trying to find their way. But I would encourage you, I've been looking at YouTube for years. I remember some of the first natural hair channels, and I would do a lot of the tutorials. And a lot of times, my hair never came out looking like other folks, because I think it was so not, I was learning my hair texture. I'm still learning 30 years later about my own hair texture, because locks is like going natural all over again. But my hair is not very dense in terms of a whole more follicles. The color of it is this interesting brown, sandy color, the texture, of it. So it's only, I would say, in the last recent, maybe 3, maybe 5 years, that I've seen more of this texture. But even if I'm looking for texture, it's up to you to do your own experimentation. But I look for and create my own support. And that's a mentality that I have, in terms of I call it not waiting for somebody to ask me to dance. I am the person to get up on the dance floor, in the middle of the dance floor, by myself. So if you don't have support, I say find support, create support. And again, that for me, that has meant I stand on my square. I am here. This is what my hair does. This is just me in my own language. I'm just giving you insight into my thought process. This is what my hair does. This is it. This is it. I'm appreciating it. I'm appreciating everything. I'm appreciating if my breasts are cancer free. I'm appreciating it. Even if I get a blemish, my body's healthy enough where it can heal. I sit and I affirm very practical affirmations, not so esoteric and not practical, in a very practical sense. I create my own support, and I look for examples, out in the world. But I also look in the mirror. I'm determined that I'm the savior. I'm the one that I've been looking for. And if I find different examples, that's great. That's cool. But to me, I'm not waiting for someone to ask me to dance, because if you wait, your life will be over. When I was younger, I waited for people to go. I bought so much exercise equipment for my few homegirls. I was waiting for them to come work out with me. And for the most part, they didn't come. They didn't come. So I have this thing of not waiting for people. I wanted to see Betty Carter perform. I don't know if you know who she is, a jazz artist. Check out Sleepy Time Down South. She has a very distinct voice. If you hear her voice, you may know who she is. Betty Carter. And she was playing at the Martin Luther King Jr. series in Brooklyn. They have an excellent concert series every summer. I saw Tina Marie there, Stephanie Mills there, Gap Band, excellent. And so I wanted to go see her, and I waited, and I was asking people, do you want to go with me? And nobody wanted to go with me. And then boom, next week she had passed. She had transitioned. I said, I will never do that again. And so then I bought myself a nice pricey ticket to the Blue Note. And I went and took myself to the Blue Note Jazz Cafe. I didn't want to eat much, but I sat right front row, and I watched Rochelle Farrell and her brother and their band. It was like they were singing to me. So I don't wait. I advise you, or I can recommend, not to wait for people to ask you to dance, and you're encouraged to not wait for acceptance. You give yourself the acceptance. I take certain things off the table, like this is old saying, call the devil by his name and take away his power. Or if you listen to your thoughts and the undercurrent, there's usually some time of fears or things of anxiety. Okay, so if I never, get married, so what? You know, that I'm holding out for healthy relationships, right? Of ultimate and supreme care, but it has to come from me first, where I set the standard for self-care and I raise it higher. And so I'm okay. And we have all these perspectives about what romantic love, everything is romantic love. And sometimes we don't appreciate the love and relationships we have with friends, siblings, that there's already love there. So there's all these programs that have us all stressed out, and I'm going to take it off of the table. So I would say create your support. Hopefully you can look at these videos and find something helpful and learn to, I encourage you to, it's not so horrible to sit in meditation and enjoy your time by yourself. Yes, we're social creatures, but sometimes somebody else is writing the narrative. That's no one. That's not going to work for me. Somebody else writing my narrative on what it should be, how I should feel, what's attractive. Nah. Nope, 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 and no. Again, I do like some of the makeup is a bit much. I mean, it looks looks like art and paint, but that to me is like, why would I be spending 2-3 hours or like an hour and a half putting makeup on? That's a workout. I'm sorry, that ain't me. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I'm not saying I might never do it for a photo shoot, but I really like being comfortable in my own skin. I feel like it's my personal revolution. This is it. This is me. This is what I look like. If my breasts are healthy and my body's healthy and I'm doing the best I can, that's it. I'm taking that validation off of the table. Is going to look the best for me in terms of the features that are coming naturally out of my scalp. You know what I'm saying? I used to say when I was pregnant younger, like if I got a corn, rock your corn. Take and manicure up your feet. And if you want to put some vegan, non-toxic nail polish on, or if you want it plain, groom yourself. But these are my toes. These are my toes. My teeth don't close. I have like an open bite from sucking my This is it. This is it. This is me. I accept me. I love me, and I appreciate. And I do, mirror work, practice staring at yourself and loving yourself, and sometimes not going with the impulse. I question the impulse to cover everything up when this is who I naturally am. It's like I'm allowing something or companies to contribute to a mental illness as well as drain my pockets. I take it off the table. I take it off the table. I feel smothered in makeup, even clear nail polish. I'm aware of the presence of polish. It's beautiful, but after 2 days or so, I'm done. So I'm saying you can play. And even if I'm playing, my standard is I don't want to put something on me that's unhealthy. A lot of this stuff is unhealthy. Think about it. If we can put pain patches and medications on our skin to work with our organs, if we're putting dangers, I remember having scalp burns all over my scalp for a perm. Why? Why? Why would I put myself in harm's way? Why, chocolate women, do we continue to put ourselves in harm's way? Why are we putting our body temples physically in harm's way to look good for who, for what? No, I take it off the table. My health, my peace of mind, my relaxation is mine. I'm determining it. I'm taking that off of the table, right? If I could go back and I could speak to my younger self. And then this whole thing with, in terms of these unwritten rules, again, it's programming. People now feel like they're old in their 30s or their 40s. I had to tell myself, I'm not old. You know what I'm saying? That's a state of mind. And the language that comes out of people's mouths, I hear folks 30, about to be 30, and saying like, I'm old. It doesn't even seem real to me. So I make an effort. I strive to be very intentional in the words that I use when relating to and to myself. And I'm writing the narrative. Many of us have had different things happen to us, but I make an effort to put those things into perspective. I don't ignore. I don't do the forgive and forget. For me, I reframe it to I put things into perspective to have a basic comprehension of what happened so I can release it and move on. So forgiveness in that sense is really for you, so that we're not tying up our energy and our focus, right? When we could be being proactive and living our best life. So for me, living my best life means I want to be able to dance. I want to do capoeira. I want to learn a language. I like watching the birth of fruits and vegetables. Those things get me excited about life. So are you excited about life? Are you waiting You're waiting for somebody to ask you to dance. Or are you waiting until you get $1 million? Are you waiting until you get a house? I'm not waiting because, as you can see, tomorrow you can be out of here. And so I could be eating all these whole living foods. Obviously, I can still get a pimple every now and then. I can get hit by a car, but I still make an effort to not cop out and to take 110% responsibility for my health and for my life. I don't know if I'll ever live in the U.S. again. I would say though, I encourage folks to not just look at where somebody else um, and think that because somebody's in a warm climate that there are no issues, right? Or that somebody what somebody else has is perfect. Again, it's this social media thing. I sometimes I feel with people, but I'm going to speak just as a chocolate woman. It can contribute to our depression and our mental illness. You got gangs all over the planet. It's gangs over here too. You have poverty. I don't take joy in going to certain areas of the country and seeing, you know, um, chocolate folks impoverished. It's not the whole country, but I don't enjoy seeing young girls looking like they're turned out. And then also, you really get an appreciation for your culture and also for access to education and internet and just different things in the States. So everywhere that you live has its trade-offs. So we don't all need to move to the tropics. We don't all need to go to the city. When I was in the city, I was growing food. I was determined. I had this thing about growing food in a small apartment. It was cold. So I make an effort to make wherever I'm at my sanctuary. So when I come in from dealing with other folks and I close the door, that I have my creature comforts and I have things that make me smile and I enjoy my time with myself. So these are things that I have done intuitively on my own, over the years. So I had a godmother who shared certain things with me. So I'm just sharing that with you. And for any women, but also there are young women that are coming along. I was just thinking if I was, in my 20s, what would I have wanted somebody to say to me or to give me an example, not just to give me a bunch of rhetoric, give me an example of what I can be doing with my time. Because we easily get distracted. Once we start engaging intimately with our body parts, we can get pulled way off focus and we can create situations that take away divert us about 20-25 years from things that we wanted to do for ourselves. So I'm big on cultivating um, esteem. I've seen others as living and living a life example, but I'd live out loud, even louder if. I don't know what you're waiting for the if for, child. Do it and do it imperfectly, right? And this is what I was saying. Now, if I put my fitness coach, my personal trainer hat on, if you show up and you show up consistently and you do something, and you do a quote unquote a workout or a movement session, now you're on the field. Now you're doing something. Now a coach can give you feedback. Now you may get to see like, ooh, that doesn't work for me. That doesn't work for my back. That doesn't work for my knees. But if you never participate, you never get anything you can tweak or get some feedback on. It's like watching the players on the football field and you're sitting there commenting, you know, um, and eating your popcorn, and you have all these comments on the players on the field, but they're on the field, they're falling, they're getting tackled, right? And so I find you can get a whole nother level of results. You can feel more alive, which contributes to your vitality and your rasa or your juice. If you engage, like, what are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? Give yourself permission. You can educate yourself enough to do things safely, but to get started. I have always looked from a young woman for some reason. I've mentioned this before. Essence has always done a spread for years, maybe once or twice a year, of women that look good for their age. And from a young girl, I would tear those sections out. And I would love to see women that not only looked good for their age and see their their beauty secrets, but if they were happy. I was looking to see if they were content and happy, if they were still learning, right? So I don't know if it's from religion or school. We get boxed in and trying to be perfect and judging ourselves. We stop playing. I like to play. I like to jump rope. I like to jump double dutch. I love learning something new. It keeps you excited about life. We somehow have seemed to siphon all that creative energy off to just romantic relationships. So everything is, we got our butts out or whatever, trying to get validation. I don't even know if they're whole healthy relationships, but we have this thing with just wanting attention and validation. And that can be reframed in a healthy context. I'm sure it has its roots in relationships with our parents and our father. But whatever, rather than keep relooping the trauma and even stay stuck in the rhetoric of why, for me, the shortcut has been getting into action. If I get into action and have a new experience, it's just exciting. And you can do that for yourself. You can do that for yourself and learn how to spend quality time with yourself. Yeah, I really love. That's right, Jet Magazine. I forgot all about Jet Magazine, right? So if those things aren't there, um, just like when I was going to school, I didn't see what I wanted on the menu on the course curriculum. So, and it was kind of nerve wracking. I was kind of nervous about it, but over time, it's taken me years to just really sit with. I don't see what I want being offered. So over the years, it's been a process of deciding. Then I will create my own lane unapologetically. I encourage many young people or whoever, right? You're as young as you want to be. You create your education. You create it. What do you have? I mean, come on. I tell my son for years, what are you doing? There's no jobs for you. Now look at this whole global situation, and I wonder how many folks, as soon as they get a little check or a piece of money, or right now, if they give you a vaccine tomorrow, everybody go right back to business as usual. Or how many people have discovered, like, wow, I really like not having to punch in. I like having all this time to myself. I don't want to go back to the way things were or being very passive and lax when it comes to my health. In case you haven't noticed, that they say folks affected by the whole situation was, and if we looked honestly, a lot of us have been waiting to activate things that we have known to do. And so there's so much information on the internet. You do want to use a vetting process, even with the information that's on the internet, because you are 110% responsible for your health. So I like to say I take my chances with my juice and my Grandma Lou. My Grandma Lou was like, eat your own food. And I also take the time. I have invested time and money for years in educating myself, right? I've invested time. I'm willing to take the chance on the juices. I'm willing to see what will come out of my skin. I'm willing to sit with myself to see what comes out of it. I trust me, right? And then the information I'm getting from outside, whether it's the internet or quote unquote doctors or people, I run it through my discernment computer. Everyone, everything, every camp without exception. I run everything through my onboard innate discernment, common sense computer, and then also roll up my sleeves and do the work, because then it comes down when it's sweating and exercise. It's challenging. And so I look forward to the challenge. Again, that's things that keep you alive. And whether it's fitness challenges, cleaning challenges, sometimes challenges with learning something new about a language. I felt like I was busting my brain taking Mandarin classes. So no, it's never too late. Never too late, never too late. So I'm sending you all some warm, positive vibrations. Create a great day, one that you can be proud of, right? Create a great day on purpose because you said so. Feel free to make use of the videos that are on this page and your journey towards self-care and cultivating. Like I'm cultivating the soil right now out in the garden. Cultivate. You're encouraged. I'm not here to tell grown folks what to do. I'd like to encourage you to cultivate esteem. Cultivate your own esteem. Cultivate your esteem. Cultivate, for me, this very practical spiritual practice, right? Because I've been to ashrams and done a stint with different religions and went to Saudi Arabia, thought I was going to make shahada. And now I'm like, this is it. This is it. I don't need the labels. No offense to anybody. I don't need the pastors. I don't feel like I don't need a middleman or middle woman. I'm tapped right into the source. So I'm big into just quiet activities, right? Of gardening or growing something. It take you shortcut to church right there. You get so much information, preparing your own food. So what people on this channel think is a drag. I'm like, there's so much information if only people knew, but you can't know unless you are actually participating, right? Unless you are participating, then you have a whole nother set of information and experience available to you, if that makes sense. But it'll make more sense once you get engaged. So this is Kwasa. Subscribe to the channel. If you found some value in this video, feel free to give it a thumbs up, share it with someone, because sharing is a good way to cultivate some kind of a community, not in a cult sense, but to create some kind of support, because you're sharing something that's valuable with you. You may want to ask permission sometimes before you share, right? So sending out some positive vibes of encouragement. I keep it simple, but simple can be very profound. People sleep on the simple. So subscribe, comment if you got some value, share it with someone, and create a great day on purpose. All right. See you folks soon.